Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Glow Crazy Podcast. We're your hosts, Grace and Jamie. I'm Grace.
I am Jamie.
We hope that you are having a great week so far. Happy Selfcare Sunday, everybody. And happy Halloween. Depending on when you're tuning in, it is officially spooky season. Ooh. Ah!
Which means pumpkin, caramel, apples everywhere, skeletons, little black cats, and the peanuts. And Charlie Brown.
I was like, the peanuts.
The peanuts?
So, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice. That's so cute.
I got the whole squad.
I just have Scooby-Doo. Ooh.
But you know what? We have Boo in the back of your background on your door.
I don't know what I just. Oh, and then I also have a little skeleton friend.
And we also both have black cats.
Oh, we both have black cats.
My black kitten is a recent one.
Little baby.
It's like your own live Halloween decoration. I love it.
Oh my gosh, so cute. I love that. Like when Gigi's just looking out the window, like we don't even need to invest in the decorations. We got a little spooky girl right there.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, for today's episode, we wanted to spread our Halloween spirit and share some spooky stories while we do our skincare routine. So if you're watching the video version on YouTube or Spotify, please make sure to kick back, relax, and glow spooky, okay? And you all know we have a question of the week, so this week's question is waxers. What's your spookiest waxweed story?
We're gonna get into it. Oh my God, I'm excited.
Yeah, we're getting into it today.
So these stories, I mean, my stories are not going to be actual ghost stories because I feel like the place that Grace and I worked at was not haunted, unfortunately, although I would love if it were haunted. But there was one room that was a little weird, and like the lights would control on their own, and the door would sometimes kind of open. You never knew if the pot was on or
I remember like coming in the morning sometimes and that light would just be on already. It's
yeah.
like
And everyone's like, "Is anyone here?" And we're like, "No."
weird vibes back there. Yeah, because it was the one room that was different from the rest.
And it was just, it was weird. Yeah. Well, in the suite, Grace and I have experienced all different types of people with different personalities, different pain tolerances, social skills, tipping manners, and we wanted to share some of our most memorable experiences that will hope to make you laugh while you're driving to work, or chuckle while you're going on your hot girl walk, or whenever it is that you're listening to our podcast. So, I think it's only appropriate that we begin with the hottest topic of how was your first Brazilian experience as a waxer?
My first Brazilian that I performed.
That you performed. Yep. Let's hear
Yes.
it. Let's down and dirty.
Well, mine might not be what you're thinking, in school or at my first job or somewhere typical.
hmm
My first Brazilian ever was performed on one of my very best friends at 2 a.m. after we'd had a few alcoholic beverages.
No way.
And not only that insanity, I was using like Gigi's soft wax, the one that we used in school.
What a Brazilian?
Yup, yep, yep,
Oh
yep, yep,
my,
yep. That is some trust right there.
that's that is so vulnerable.
Or maybe it's more just, yeah, you've had enough drinks that you're just like, ah, screw it.
It's kind of like when you start doing cartwheels.
Yeah, for real. And I'll never forget. I truly, I'm sure she'll
God.
be happy to know that I just will never forget that experience. Then she waxed my underarm. She has no experience whatsoever.
I was gonna say, wait, hold on.
I will never
What?
ever forget it. Ever.
So you were waxing at 2 a.m. How was the wax?
Oh, terrible. Terrible. There's no way I got all of that hair whatsoever. That poor girl was definitely in agony. There was no screaming, no nothing. I believe I tapped out. And she was like, no,
No
no, you
way.
can finish. I'm like, I can't. We have to go. I think I bruised her. Yeah, it was a mess.
Well, with that wax, that soft wax on a Brazilian, the tackiness.
And keep in mind, at this point, I wanted to go into facials. I didn't even want to be a waxer at this point. I just had the wax pot. I was in aesthetic school. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's really funny. So, has she gotten Brazilian since then?
She actually has not, which is devastating. She has let me do other waxes on her since, completely sober.
Right, right, yeah,
I love
right.
her to death. That's a trusting, loyal friend right there.
Mm-hmm. That's a good guinea pig.
Yeah, my other friend, once I was doing her just an arm wax while I was in aesthetic school, and I spilt cream wax all over her basement floor, which was pretty awesome.
Oh my, did you get it out?
Yeah, it took probably 2 or 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was
That makes
awesome.
sense though.
Yeah, maybe let's just do our waxes, sober and during the day.
And in a suite, even though I don't
Oh,
even do
sure.
that.
That's all right.
Whatever.
Now, what was your first Brazilian experience like?
Honestly, I don't really remember my doing my first Brazilian because I think it just went smooth, but it just came really natural to me. So it was kind of a nice, easy first time Brazilian. It was very easy, but I have had my fair share in like, really bad Brazilians.
Dude, let me say, you've been a pro from the start. I'm intrigued to hear about any bad experiences you've had.
I'll tell you, instead of my first time ever Brazilian, I'll tell you the first time I've ever seen a Brazilian with hair on their pelvic bone that actually looked like this. Oh my God. I walked, or no, I didn't walk in. She walked in. And honey strutted out at
I
the
was
end
just
of the
gonna say you
appointment.
strutted.
Walk in, strut out. And she comes in my bed, she's undressed, she's whatever, we're chilling. And this was when I was kind of practicing my poker face because you just gotta have a poker face if you just gotta. So
Yeah.
I'm practicing my poker face because I'm brand new, and she comes in and she has the most hair I've literally ever seen on a vagine ever, ever. It was so long where I looked at it and I was like, I could pick it up and one long hair can stick right in between my index and my thumb and I would still see the top of the hair. It was so long.
Dang.
And I was like, what do I do? And then I remembered that one of the other waxers was like, you could cut it, you know, like you could, if you ever see Brazilian with this, you could cut it. And I was like, I
You're
could
getting
cut
like visions to the past. You're like, oh my goodness, let me grab those scissors.
it. Mhm. And so that also was the first time I ever had done a haircut on a vagine.
Gotta love it. Some trimmage.
Insane, insane, actually crazy. But you know what? While we're talking about, I'm sorry, I just like think of this story. I'm just like, this is so. I was literally telling this story the other day too. Have you ever been asked to do a design on a Brazilian before?
Oh, yes. Hearts, triangles, and initials, even. All the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
Oh. Hearts came for Valentine's Day.
Love. I love a nice heart. I think it's tasteful. I think it's cute.
I think it's really cute. I think it's really kinky. And I'm like, you are gonna have so much fun.
Yeah. Girl, have the time of your life.
I'm like, I already know it. You're having a good time.
And especially before a wedding. Initials are usually before a wedding. I'm like, you go, girl.
Oh, great. And it's the other person's initials, I'm assuming. Wow.
Love.
I've never done that.
I've done it twice.
Oh my God. I
Look at
my
creative.
people are also so creative and we're just artists.
That's
One,
exactly it. We are artists.
hmm one of my favorite designer stories, one of my favorite artistic stories is my first week ever of real waxing, of real, people are coming in, paying, whatever. Some woman, it was the week of Cinco de Mayo, she came in all excited. She was matching my energy. She was like, I am so excited to get waxed right now, and I just have one request for you. And I was like, yeah, girl, what is it? I want you to draw a martini glass. I was like, what?
Martini glass is crazy.
A martini glass? And she goes, yeah, I'm preparing for Cinco de Mayo. She got, and then, she had it on her shirt, and she goes, I do have it on my shirt for a reference. And I was like, baby girl, I don't need a reference.
I
I know
don't need
exactly
that.
what a martini glass looks like.
You want a dirty martini?
How many olives in that? So I kind of looked at it, and I looked at her hair, and then I looked at her shirt for my reference picture. And I was like, honestly, it's not that hard because all I had to do was wax the top, go bikini line, but just way more in. And then the pelvic bone didn't get touched. And then I was like, I was literally just hired and I just waxed a martini glass on some woman. I am made for this.
Who would have thought, right?
Insane.
That's some talent right there. Because at first I was a little bit like, "Oh my goodness, what are you supposed to? How do you tackle this?"
Right,
Like,
right.
okay, I see the vision there.
But then you assess and you're like, okay,
Yeah,
not
you just
bad.
got. Sometimes you just have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and just go for it.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So, because we just kind of want to go for it, do you remember before your first ever Brazilian, how nervous you were to one, not only get a Brazilian, but like there's one part of the Brazilian where everyone's a little bit more freaked out over, and we are always like, we know that there's nothing to worry about, and it's the butt strip.
That butt strip, that butt strip. She's daunting. She is spooky in herself if you've never experienced it. The thought of it
Mm.
is just intimidating.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, it's the easiest part of the Brazilian, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my opinion too.
It's like you've already gone through the worst part of it. That's like a nice little done and done.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Yep.
when I have a client who's nervous about a butt strip, there is one story that I always tell. It's a nice little icebreaker. It makes them feel like they're not alone. And when I could tell they're a little bit nervous, like, all right, knees to chest, and they're like, I'm like, oh, girl, wait till you hear this. You are fine. Listen to
I'm
my
so
story.
excited.
So, the second Brazilian I ever received
Okay.
was during my first day of training at my first job as an esthetician. So, my boss, I'd happen to have a Brazilian scheduled for a few days after I started training. So, my boss had texted me and said, Grace, why don't you just do your Brazilian during training? It'll be free. So, I was like, okay, cool, free, let's do it. Didn't think twice. I just heard free. So I get to work. I meet the few girls I'm training with, my new coworkers, and we all gathered into a tiny little wax suite, started talking about procedures, whatever. One of our bosses comes in. We do her Brazilian, just get an idea of the patterns and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had clearly been waxing for years. Her Brazilian area was silky smooth, barely had any hair. Now remember, this is my second Brazilian ever. Because usually with the second one, people are like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And honestly, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was just the environment that I was in. So I had during my first Brazilian, my wax specialist did not set me up for success. So I had ingrowns. My skin was just angry. I didn't know what she needed. Although I was a licensed esthetician at that point, I didn't really have that experience in the field to know better. I truly did not know as well as I should have. I wasn't prepared. I knew how to pass the state board exam. So we finish our boss's Brazilian, and the trainer looks at me. She cleans up, she looks at me and goes, "All right, Grace, you can undress and then hop up on the table and we'll do yours now." What? Oh, I'm sorry. What did you just say to me right now? We're not just gonna go. You're not just gonna do my Brazilian and talk me through it. I have to show all my new coworkers my vagina right now.
Oh my God. How many people were in the room?
Four.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. But
Oh my
well, actually,
God.
five including me. So there were three. Yeah, four or five. Yeah.
The fact that, like, I know how small that room is too.
Yeah. And picture they're all lined up against the wall as if they're like, you know.
Getting there. Like someone's pointing at them for a crime. That's
I
exactly
was
what it looks like.
exactly all in their matching little uniforms. So I kind of go. I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, girls, this is only my second one. Mine isn't going to be as pretty as hers was. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
We all laugh. Ice is broken. Hop on the table. The wax is going smoothly. Okay. Again, it's the second one, so I'm like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as the first. This is good. This is good. The trainer goes, "All right, Grace. Now we're gonna do the butt strip. You can bring your knees to your chest." I'm like, all right, cool. Knees to chest. Then this woman, this beautiful woman, decides to take this opportunity to educate her trainees.
Oh no.
She goes, "Oh, guys, now in the case that somebody is dirty, Jamie, my knees are at my chest. My coworkers are lined up against the wall, staring at my butthole." So I panic internally. I don't I don't say anything, but I tense up, and the trainer goes, "Oh my gosh, Grace, you are totally fine. Please don't worry about it. I just thought about the scenario. That was terrible timing." I'm like, "Yeah, that was
That
probably
was
the
terrible.
worst timing you could have chosen for that learning opportunity."
That's terrible timing.
So when my client is on that table and they're nervous, I say, "Listen, I have been here before. This is a safe space, okay?"
I would be mortified.
I'll never
So
forget it.
humiliated. Oh my God.
Butthole out to the world.
Vulnerable position. You want
Gosh.
to give a demonstration on what to do if your client's dirty?
Ugh,
Bad timing.
bad timing. Go take an education class. I'm kidding. She was great. She was excellent. I did love her.
Oh, that story is really funny.
Unique. That's a unique one.
Unique for
Well,
sure. Yep.
have you ever had like a more negative experience with a first time client or someone who's new to waxing?
I have one of my most, oh my God, spooky and traumatizing stories, I think, is when I had this little girl come in. And now I will always make a little girl comfortable. I'll always make her feel okay, whatever. And I had this one girl come in. Sorry, guys, just getting ready for work.
Wow.
And I had this girl come in. Her auntie brought her in, and I was like, okay, auntie, niece, date, whatever, had these before.
Self
And
care.
they were not very excited to get waxed. The aunt was so excited for the girl to get waxed, and the little girl didn't really want to get waxed. And I'm gonna preface this by saying she is going to be in the age range of 10 to 12. Okay, so she's pretty young. And
Mm.
she was getting her eyebrows and her lips waxed, and this was her first time ever getting it done. So when little girls come in to get their eyebrows done, I make sure to not make them too perfect, because they're kids. They just
Yeah.
need a good cleanup kind of in the middle. Just get the cleanup and they are very satisfied. So I was like, okay, assessing it. So right when she gets on my table, I'm making sure she's okay. I ask her how she wants everything done. I go to put her lip wax strip on and I put it on and she starts freaking out. And now she's like hyperventilating. And now she's really, really nervous for me to rip it off. And I'm like, sweetheart, it's okay. It's gonna be like 3 seconds. I swear it's gonna be so quick. And I go to take it off, I rip it, and she's like, and I was like, "Hey, it's okay, my love. It's okay.
It's
It's
over.
okay. It's over." And it was just the one. But then her reaction was too big, and I was like, "Oh God, um, I have to do at least 8 other strips on your skin." And her skin was fine. She didn't have a reaction. Her skin didn't lift or anything. She was just in a lot of pain. And her hair is thick and it was dark. And I was like, damn, this girl's got it the worst. So I, oh my God, was standing there trying to comfort her and she's hysterically crying. And I am trying to put the other wax pieces on her face, but she's crying so much that her tears are streaming down her face. Snot is coming out of her nose. And every piece of wax that I put on her skin kind of
It's
comes
like
off.
just like rolling off as you put it on.
It's not sticking because the tears are in the way. And I'm like, she has no idea that her booger is in the way of my wax strip pass. And I can't. So I'm like wiping her nose and everything. And then the aunt comes in, or she starts chiming in. And this is where I think is the scariest part because, I could calm down a girl, whatever. This auntie started yelling at this girl, at this niece. She starts yelling at her, and she speaks Spanish, so unfortunately, I can only recognize so many words. And her aunt was screaming to this little girl's face, "You're ugly with the mustache. You wanted this off. You said that you feel like you're ugly with a mustache. The kids are making fun of you at school," and starts degrading her in my
Oh
suite.
my
And I was like,
gosh.
no, 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 no. No, 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 no. This is not what we're gonna do.
Not in my house.
Not in my suite. You're not even her mom.
Mm-mm.
I, and I was so upset and I felt for her so bad. And every time this aunt would call this little girl ugly, this little girl would just look at me with the most hysterically crying face, like dehydrated skin, red, just like almost half waxed. And I'm like, your aunt is calling you ugly. You're not ugly. You're crying so much I can't wax you. This one's yelling at both of us because I'm always the one included somehow. And I'm just like, what the actual F is going on?
Oh my gosh, Jamie, that's terrible.
Oh God. At
That
the
like
end, she did walk out waxed.
okay.
She did.
Because
I
you're a
did get it.
pro.
I'm a I will always get something done. I will always make sure you walk out of my room with a smile in your head. At least.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? Although I'm sure not because of you, that was a somewhat traumatic experience for her. I could not
Yeah.
imagine. That's just terrible to be screaming at
Yeah.
your niece.
Yeah. First of all, in public, okay. First of all, bad. Okay, bad. Um, not only in public, but also behind closed doors because the door was closed and it was a private
Yeah.
room and it was only us three that were able to hear. And then also when I was done with the appointment, one of the other waxers was like, "If you're ever uncomfortable, you could say you don't want to wax them. You can say that." And I was like, "I didn't know that."
Yeah, I thankfully haven't had a situation where I've had to tap out. Well, besides my first story, that's a different kind of scenario.
Not even the story I thought of. I thought of your last day.
Sometimes, let's call it your health. Sometimes your health gets in the way. And you have to, if you see stars, you might have to call your coworker in to finish a wax for you. Thank you, Jamie.
I got you, Grace.
That's a story. I didn't even think of that story for this episode. I remember it was my first regulars I ever had. Suddenly, it's my last day of work. Suddenly I start seeing stars. I go, I'm so sorry, I have to sit down. I said, can you go and can you just call for Jamie? Just go into the hallway and just call for Jamie.
And that literally happened.
Yeah,
I was I was in my room. Your client peeped out. Jamie, Jamie, and I was like, who, who is that? And I come out and I was like, your Grace is regular. Yeah, I'll help her out. And then I realized what the situation was, and I was like, oh my god.
oh, this is happening right now. Okay.
My god. I love that story.
That's so funny. You're like, who is that? Like it's the ghost of room 7.
That's the spell. Oh my god. That's the ghost of room 7.
So, on that spooky note, although there was no ghost of room 7 in that story, it was still spooky. I think that will about do it for us today.
I think so.
So, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on all platforms and our social medias that are in the description below. Check out all of our other episodes and do something that makes you happy today. Drink water, wear SPF, and glow crazy. Happy frickin' Halloween, everyone!
Happy Halloween! It is
Ooh.
our first holiday episode, so happy Halloween! Comment below what you're being this Halloween, and also to reiterate our question of the week, Waxers, what is your spookiest story? Please comment down below. We want to hear from you.
I'm dying to know. Ooh.
Okay, bye guys. Love you. Enjoy your week. Mwah, mwah, mwah. I hate that too. Wait, wait. Bloopers, bloopers. I, the spa,
Okay.
the waxing suite is